Recognise the set? I didn't think so. It's so new and shiny. All the redecoration work has really paid off.
It looks exactly the same.
No, it does not. It has been totally revamped. Look.
Yes, that's right. Such obvious signs of change are a result of us being in a brand new office. It's like a real-life sequel, one we have all had a hand in making feel like home. Such a time of grand transformation has got our little content brains thinking though. What characters have been changed up completely in their series? What sequels have altered them beyond recognition? Much like Cloud becoming a giant spider-face monstrosity, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a lot to live up to. These are the characters that underwent some serious transfiguration between their games. Whether they are fabulous phoenixes rising from unpleasant ashes or once brilliant angels fallen from grace is up to you.
There are some things in life that are a real lottery, whether that's literally in if a scratch card you buy will be a winner, or more loosely in whether you've picked up the donut with the most jam in it, or how many dogs you'll see on the way home. All of those are pretty inconsequential, I guess. But there's one uncontrollable gamble with far higher stakes.
Who you share your blood with?
Like your family, I mean. That gamble quickly soars into a losing bet for poor old Jin Kazama in Tekken 3, who decides that despite being unable to control his biological relatives, he can control precisely how much influence they have over his fighting career. The child of Kazuya Mishima and Jun Kazama, at the end of Tekken 3, Jin is betrayed by his Mishima grandfather, forcing his transformation into Devil Jin, a form passed down from his antagonist criminal father, further solidifying how much it sucks to be biologically tied to a bloodline as corrupt and evil as the continually destructive Mishimas. And that's only the short version. Between Tekken 3 and 4, Jin adopts a whole new fighting style to reflect the abandonment of his grandfather's teachings, instead opting to master traditional karate. The man adapts his whole being to reject his Mishima heritage, reflected in how the character plays throughout Tekken 4, making for a near unrecognizable Jin as he re-establishes exactly who he wants to be in the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4. Bold.
Before I get into this entry, I would just like to officially apologise for my conduct on this issue over the years. I've done like a YouTube apology thumbnail and everything.
When Raiden first appeared in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, I, like many others, was outspoken in my condemnation of the character. Yes, for the unforgivable crime of being not Snake, Raiden faced half a decade of ridicule from gamers everywhere as he cartwheeled, quipped and floppy blonde-haired his way through the sequel to one of the biggest and best games ever made. And while looking back on it, the backlash was probably a bit over-egged. I like to think our collective whinging in some way contributed to what must be the most epic gaming glow-up in video game history. Imagine my astonishment when, having last seen Raiden at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2, he turns up 7 years later in Guns of the Patriots looking like this. From timid, always asking stupid questions stealth noob to multi-blade wielding cyborg samurai extraordinaire, Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 4 is like a totally different character. And then Raiden at the start of MGS4 compared with Raiden at the end of the game is a whole other transformation. I mean, he fights an actual submarine and wields a sword in his mouth. Just think. If we'd all liked Raiden back in MGS2, then we may never have seen Mouth Sword Submarine Slayer Raiden in MGS4. So really, this should be a You're Welcome video.
Despite how different he might look in each game he crops up in, this character has the same black heart in his chest no matter what is on the outside. Despicable, heinous, and downright cowardly. There's only one name that comes to mind, right?
Dave. No, sorry. Patches. Patches.
Yes, the bane of From Software games that kicks your ass in each instalment absolutely deserves an entry here. And I don't mean he's a combat legend or anything impressive like that. Oh no. I mean he literally kicks your ass off the edge of whatever precipice you're standing on when you least expect it.
This is what I do, my friend. The trinkets I'll be stripping off your corpse, that's the real treasure.
Talk about fighting dirty.
Patches first appeared in the PS3 title Armored Core for Answer, a mech combat game in which Patch the Good Luck snipes you from afar before begging for mercy when you inevitably best him. Since then, he has made himself at home in the dark fantasy games From Software are renowned for, cropping up as a nuisance in everything from Dark Souls to Elden Ring, still begging for mercy with every failed murderous trick he tries to play on you.
Well, finally come round, have you? I knew you would. You're a man of reason. True and true.
Perhaps his most drastic change-up was his appearance in Bloodborne as Patches the Spider, a grotesque little arachnid freak with Patches' annoying head stuck on top so he can still spout nonsense at you when you find him.
Luckily, I know exactly how to deal with spiders. Oh, come here, I've got a bit of water for you. Gotta hydrate all 8 of those legs.
Moving all of these boxes into the new PlayStation Access office has given me my own sequel makeover.
I mean, just look at my new muscles.
And all this flexing has got me thinking about one character in particular. My guy, Chris Redfield, the muscle-bound beefcake from Resident Evil. Or I should say from Resident Evil 5, as he started out just a normal tough muscly man before busting out his big guns in the later sequel, becoming powerful enough to punch his way through a boulder with the force of his biceps alone.
Oh my god! All those boxes I've been lifting. Could I punch through a rock?
It's fair to say Mr. Redfield did some serious bodybuilding between his appearances in Resident Evil and its spin-offs before coming back bigger and stronger than ever in Resident Evil 5. But in recent entries, he's experimented with his look even more! Resident Evil 7 Biohazard sees him with a much more realistic physique, with loads of fans not believing Chris was really Chris until Capcom confirmed his new, altered appearance later on.
This displeased muscle fans.
Sending Chris straight back to pump some iron for Resident Evil Village, he came back buff again in the most recent entry, wearing a lovely new coat with a collar almost as big as his arms. Balance is restored in the world.
What? Why?
Yuna and her striking shift from Final Fantasy X to Final Fantasy X-2 is up next, a character whose change in demeanour I imagine has quite a lot to do with the fact that in X-2 she isn't spending the entire game thinking she has to die to save the world from a flying city-sized whale demon.
You try going about your day-to-day with that hanging over your shoulders. I struggle when it's my turn to cook dinner.
And that's the biggest change. Yuna is lighter and freer in X-2, gallivanting across Spira with her pals, dressing up as Moogles, holding pop concerts in the rain, and looking like a bona fide badass with her dual pistols. Her optimism, which to be fair she wasn't lacking in 10, absolutely soars in X-2, and it's great to see her living her best life with Riku and Pain. Ultimately, if you want a neat visual representation of how much Yuna has changed across the two games, here's me playing Final Fantasy X.
Yuna, you're so brave and selfless.
And here's me playing Final Fantasy X too. The demon whale is dead! Hooray!
Take one look at Lara Croft from her original outing in 1996 and her most recent PlayStation game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it is clear to see she has been through the graphical ringer.
And just about every other ringer possible along the way.
The moment she burst forth like a beautiful textured butterfly from her polygon chrysalis, however, was between Tomb Raider Guardian of Light to Tomb Raider 2013. This follow-up title is a reboot of Lara Croft's story, starting at the beginning once again to shape a scared young woman into the badass we know and love. The game goes backwards and forwards at the same time, a dizzying regression of Lara and her skill set whilst pushing graphical boundaries to deliver the most detailed Raider of Tombs we'd seen to that point. Each game in this gritty reinvention of the character follows suit, turning the ponytailed blue tank top wearing sex symbol into a younger, more rounded and realistic character.
By that I mean they gave her some trousers and covered her in muck. Relatable.
Lara is brilliant in all her forms, but this was definitely the starkest change, going from perky princess to bloodied survivalist in the blink of an eye. If the blink was 3 years long, at least.
How can you go from this to this?
Crash, I really am cross with you. I'm just trying to do my job, and you go and cause all this chaos. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to eat your face.
From
Crash, leave them for Tiny, or Crash get crushed.
to
Stop! No more, please! You're just too stupendous and fantabulous! Honestly, you're just awesome.
how?
This redesign of Tiny Tiger from the Crash Bandicoot series came completely out of nowhere. I mean, I know that Crash started getting more crazy for the platformers after Crash Twinsanity, but Crash Twinsanity still, for the tiny moment Tiny appears, ha! Tiny! Get it? Keeps the beloved tiger close to his original design.
After this, he changed. It wasn't just a makeover. It was everything.
At first, the change which screams to you is his design, as you see a tiger figure in some kind of cameo outfit behind Cortex.
Hey, I don't blame him for wanting to wear a bit more than a loincloth, shoulder pads and some shoes.
But then he talks.
It's really nice stationery, too.
And that's nothing like...
Crash, Coco, store the pretty crystals.
Then when you reach him in the game, you really see how much his character has changed. As when you fight him, you don't even fight him! He cowers to the top of a gate and leaves his minions to fight you for him. And then once you've hit some targets and a few big rocks...
Yes, that's all you do.
You approach him and he just... gives up!
I'll tell you where to go! Nina took Coco to the theater on the beach.
They didn't even let him fight me. They didn't even let him fight me.
I missed him. I missed my big, angry, jumping Tiny. I missed outsmarting him. I missed spinning him. I missed listening to him threatening me. I missed Tiny.
Tiny was a good fellow. He hated everyone and everything, but a good heart nonetheless.
And I say missed as he came back to his old self in the Insane trilogy. It's good to have you back, my friend.
And there we are, 7 characters that seem like they went through the witness protection program between sequels. What change most stood out to you? Let us know in the comments below. This has been PlayStation Access. Don't forget to subscribe to stay notified, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
PlayStation